What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Mamaverse podcast, where we bring experts in physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual wellness to talk about how moms can improve their overall health in their daily life. I'm your host, Tuhian Lee, and today we have guest Kaylee McCauley, who is a founder and CEO of her company, Danu LLC, where she helps women manage stress by building everyday habits so they can be happier and healthier at work and at home. Hi, Kate.
How are you? Thank you for having me.
Yes, we are excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us on the Mamaverse podcast. So, Kate, would you give us a little more background on yourself and what inspired you to get started in this line of work?
Absolutely. So I have a wonderful journey that I was really every step of the way meant to be where I was. So it has led me to be the owner of my current company. I was a teacher for 20 years. I'm still a teacher. I'm educating in a different way now, but I was in the classroom teaching in a public school for 20 years. And I really put my whole heart and soul into being an educator. I loved being an educator. But as time shifted, I was in the same school district for the entire career and it became toxic. It just wasn't serving me any longer. And I was faking it that I was loving it, but I just needed to make a shift. So when the pandemic hit, all educators had to shift to virtual learning. And then there was a roller coaster of virtual hybrid situation. My district ended up staying in a virtual learning setting for the entire journey. And I realized at that point that I was happier, even though I was working crazy hard. I like to say building the plane as I was flying it because we weren't taught how to teach virtually. But I realized I'm not in the building anymore experiencing this toxic environment. And I came to the realization that no matter how hard I tried with administrators and leaders in our district to make change, that I couldn't change someone else. I could really only change myself. So I came up with an exit strategy. I became certified as a health coach May of 2020. And then I created my business, became an LLC in July of 2020. And then now I am working full time. Last April, I resigned from my teaching position, and I'm working full time in my company, helping women manage their stress. So I'm loving every second of it, and I'm grateful to talk with people like you.
Yeah, well, congratulations on making the big life transition. I know how scary it can be, but that's exciting that you get to do what you love.
Thank you.
So when you're working with moms and women on how to manage stress, like what's your approach or what's your philosophy on this?
Sure. So what I do is I help them build habits. And we do this through mindfulness. I have a signature program that I do with my one-to-one and group clients. And we walk through 8 steps where we work on mindfulness, mindful moving, mindful eating, mindful communication. And really, everyone I work with has the answers within themselves, and I help them tap into that. They build habits that they can use every day. And I like to tell people, this is not a magic pill. It is work for my clients, whether it's a coaching program. I do workshops out in local places and globally via Zoom and different outlets. And then I'm also a speaker in some events for primarily women and different corporations. So really, I'm helping them build habits that they can use every day. Some people hear mindfulness and think they need to take this deep dive, and it can be that, but it doesn't have to be that. A lot of my clients take a couple little habits that they stack on other habits that they are already doing, things that they're, doing well in their life, and they add those in just so that they can be happier and healthier. I know we're talking to a lot of moms in your group, and we wear a lot of hats. And sometimes we forget that we deserve to be happy and healthy too. So I help actually, if I'm thinking right now, all of my current clients are moms, actually. So I love working with them. I have 3 kids of my own, so I've traveled this journey myself, and I'm
Still
loving.
traveling.
Yeah, still traveling. Yes, absolutely. I like to say it's on the job training as mom.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So when you say mindfulness, I was about to say, and you kind of like touched upon this too, like to me, that sounds like not being distracted when you're doing something. Like if I was walking, I'm just walking. I'm not like walking and looking at my phone or like walking and
Yeah.
talking. I'm just, is that
You
okay.
got it, girl. It is really just being in the moment. So, you're going to have to look at your phone sometimes. I was walking the dog yesterday and I had my phone. My goal was not to look at the phone and scroll so I could pay attention to the little details around me, the beauty of the day, the colors. But I got a phone call. My son got sick. I took the phone call, and instead of freaking out because I use these mindfulness techniques, I said, okay, we're just going to, manage this and move on. But that's exactly what it is, trying to be in the moment and being still, paying attention to it. And, using, I like to say maybe like a toolbox of tools that you could use these tools when things get tough. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, and mindfulness doesn't cure the issues.
Mm,
It's a tool to help you be present.
yeah. And I mean, our audience is mostly moms and parents. So sometimes remembering to be mindful and being present is challenging. And sometimes I've heard moms say, like, I don't have time to be
Mm,
mindful. And which I imagine is one of the challenges for moms to like take the time for themselves to do that. So I'm wondering if you have tips or have you come across clients that have kind of said similar things about, I don't have time to be mindful. I don't have time to mindfully walk. I just need to
mhm.
get things done.
Sure. So, yes, absolutely. My clients say that a lot, that they don't have time. And we are very busy. We're managing, as a mom, we're managing maybe housework. If you're working, if you're running a business, for me, I'm helping with homework after school. I'm picking up all the kids. I have 2 teenagers and an elementary school student. So I'm living in a couple different mom realms, if could call it that. Sports, different activities, all the mom guilt. And then we say we don't have time. And yes, we are busy, but we need to carve out time, even if it's a little bit or a couple minutes each day. And what I would say is that what I mentioned before, that you do something called stacking. So a habit that you already do. For example, all of the moms at some point are putting some kind of shoes on their feet to go out to do all the things. So I tell my clients, if you get dressed in the morning, put your shoes on, whatever you do, let's stack a habit with that just to start slow. Maybe it's a gratitude journal where you quickly, 3 things. You have the journal sitting there wherever you put your shoes on, and you have a pen with it. So there's no excuses. Well, I didn't know where the pen was. And real quick, you write down, some days it's the beautiful sunshine. I'm so grateful for my experience with my kids. Other days it's, I got to pee in peace. Everyone had their stuff ready.
Totally.
Like it's the first 3 things. And some of my clients like to dig deeper with that kind of thing. But really, when the time issue comes up, you can do little things so that you can be showing up as your best self. I have traveled this journey, and I used to have to drive home in silence so that I didn't freak out when it was homework time, because I had to be constantly on at my job. It was a tough working environment. The kids, majority of them were great, but it was a really violent neighborhood that I worked in. So they brought that trauma, which meant I had to be ready to love them and not take offense when they let the trauma, spill out onto me. So I would drive home in silence so I didn't freak out on my kids. So I learned some techniques as I've traveled this journey, that it's okay to put the kids to bed a couple minutes early so I can sit and breathe or scroll through Instagram or read a book, whatever it is that you want to do. So I say little things, start with baby steps when we talk about time, because moms are always making time for everyone else. And sometimes we forget to put ourselves on the to-do list. So I could go on and on about the time. I feel
No,
it.
I mean, I agree. That's why, I'm building the Mamaverse. It's so to give moms permission and a space to carve out for themselves, to prioritize themselves. Um, for the moms who might be asking, like, well, why do I need to be mindful? Like maybe they're not so knowledgeable in this space.
Sure.
How would you explain that to them?
So I would say when I talk with my clients on a discovery call, when I have a free call that I have for my program, and we talk about why did you reach out? Why did you reach out? You heard about this mindfulness, and they don't really always understand.
Maybe
It's
it's like
been
a
around,
buzzword that,
right? It's been
they've been
around, but it is
hearing.
very popular as a buzzword right now. And
Mm-hmm.
really, why you need this is because you are truly a role model for your kids. You are really, if you're loving yourself first, you're showing up better in every area of your life. If you give yourself a little bit of time to breathe, there's a couple of things I could share with you for some quick breathing things if moms wanted to try. But then if you're at work or you're a stay-at-home mom, my clients will tell me that when they've gone through this transformation, they're not exploding. We as moms feel like we always have to smile and show up like, hey, everything's great, when it's not always great. We need a minute to breathe. And it has a ripple effect. The positive and the negative self-talk or negative behaviors that we exhibit as a mother, as a woman, that really has a ripple effect into all areas of our life. So if I am yelling all of the time because I'm taking all this stress in and I'm not finding ways to manage it in a healthy way, my kids are receiving that. They're on the receiving end of that yelling. And I'm also teaching them, this is how you deal with stress. Now, do I yell sometimes? You bet I do. It happens, but then I realize that I can pull myself back in, and sometimes I'll chat with them. I'll be like, I lost my cool there, guys. I'm overwhelmed today, or this happened. And even that is showing them that, everybody's human. Mom freaks out sometimes too. But
Mm-hmm.
mindfulness is important because you deserve it. One, two, it can just calm down your day. It literally can shift your entire day. Where I used to say to myself, oh, okay, what else is going to happen today? What else is going to happen today? Now I reframe things. And really, it's a retraining of the brain that just because, we had a bad start with getting out the door for the school drop off line, we don't necessarily have to have the whole rest of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
And like you said, it would just be starting with the gratitude, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy way to do it in the morning. You could start with the gratitude journal, just pop 3 things in that you are grateful for each morning. And, some mornings you're going to miss it. Do it at night. No big
Yeah.
deal. I think all the shoulds and the guilt and, some of those things get in the way, and I don't have time for things. But when you build these habits, your brain will say, this is what I do now. Your reticular activating system, the RAS, I call it. You literally have a shift. And I'll realize, oh, okay, I write my gratitude journal every morning, or when I take a walk, I'm going to try to put my phone away, and this is just your brain wants to be correct and wants to give you the correct answers. So if you start to train yourself and say things to yourself, another easy one that moms could do is create a mantra for yourself when your stressors happen, and create that mantra. So maybe it's always in the morning when everybody's getting out the door for school. Maybe it's during homework time. Maybe it's dinner time. Maybe it's, getting everyone to bed. Each unique situation for everyone. If you start to pay attention, all right, this is my time of day where stress happens. It's just how it is. You start to feel what your body feels like. That's part of being mindful there, and create a mantra. An easy one that I tell a lot of my moms to do, and I use it myself, is this too shall pass. And just take a breath. I was telling you about the breathing exercises. There's 2 different ones. One I love to give is called the elevator breathing, where you just take a quick, 3 breaths in and out. And then you picture yourself, close your eyes for a second. As we said, as moms, we don't have a ton of time, but close your eyes and just picture yourself being at the top of a building and watching the buttons as you get down to the first floor when you're getting off. And then, go along with your day. And you can even say to your kids, to your partner, to people you work with, I need a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I need a minute.
I
So,
like that.
yeah.
So in your experience, do you know what the difference like in how women process stress versus men?
So I work primarily with women through my coaching and my workshops, but I do a lot of speaking engagements for men and women are at those. I mean, I haven't researched it, but from my experience working with my clients, I feel like women have this balancing act that we tend to do more so than men, or we talk about it more. We feel it more. The men are at least not talking about it as much, where we have all of these things that we are juggling. It's so many hats that we are wearing. And if we neglect ourselves in that balancing act, we don't show up in the other areas the best that we possibly could. And there's the shoulds, the guilt, the judgment, all these expectations. There's when I run workshops, there's two things that we talk about. One is, holding on to that regret. And another one is the worry about the future. And once women and moms especially can let go a little bit of both of those things or totally let go,
Mhm.
really have a shift to the other side. So I think when we talk men to women, at least when they're talking to me about it, women feel a lot of pressure and stress to balance and, wear all those hats, where the
It's
men I
true.
talk to, they don't seem to be, I don't know if they're just not expressing it, but they don't feel guilty if something doesn't get done. They're like, well,
Sometimes I feel like it's because they literally don't think of the things. Like I just think of an example of, the morning time tends to be a really stressful time, especially it's like, oh, we need to get out the door. We need to get to school on time. Make sure you have your shoes. Did you bring your lunch? Did you have the right pencils and erasers? Did you bring your
yep.
project? And it's like, do your clothes match? That type of stuff. And it's stuff that I feel like as women, or maybe it's just me, I don't know. I am like thinking about all these things, but my husband
Mhm.
be like, oh, she's just going to wear whatever she wants to wear. If she leaves
Right.
her lunch, then that's her learning lesson. And I'm like, no, you
Right.
can't do that.
I
So
know. I feel you. My husband is similar in that. He's like, well, that's what he picked out. I'm like, really? He looks homeless. Like
like,
that is not what he would have normally worn to this like kid party or whatever,
right.
and he's like, whatever, and I think that's all we imagine in some ways, that other people are going to judge us and that they're worried about what we're doing. And in most cases, they're worried about their own stuff that they got going on.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really worried about Kate's son and his mismatched socks. But as a mom, I'm like, I cannot believe that you took him here. I was taking the other one to basketball or whatever it was.
Oh
And,
gosh, I know. I know.
you know, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if I can say that we ever truly let go of all of that, but when I do work with my clients, there is a transformation that you start to just be more mindful and say, you know what? This is where we're at right now. We're in the messy middle of, and I remember when my kids were toddlers, having like this, oh my gosh, my third one always would be the one to, pull the fire alarm when we were somewhere. And I was like, thinking how about all these other people are thinking. And then people started to say to me, I have one of those at home too, and I'm like, okay, I can let go a little bit of some of this, but it takes some work. It really does.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned that you give workshops.
Mhm.
Can you tell us more about the workshops that you're teaching?
Sure. Sure. So I do workshops locally and then I do them globally. And basically, it's usually about an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours if we have questions. And I explain, define, and give little tips about what mindfulness is. And then we go through, some of the experiences that women primarily are dealing with, and then how they can use some of these mindfulness tools to throw into their life immediately. And then I do a meditation usually at the end where I just guide them and help them calm down. And yeah, then I just, we chat a little bit at the end. It's usually pretty powerful. There's some tears sometimes and some people saying like, oh, this, I feel it, we're like living the same journey here. So it's really cool to see that happen during the workshops or when I work with my clients in the my signature program. So I love it. And anybody who's interested, reach out to me and we can set something up for those workshops or coaching.
So what has been your biggest shift in starting your journey? Is it becoming more present and mindful, how has that changed your life?
So I would say my biggest shift is my cultivating this attitude of gratitude that I have,
Mm,
through mindfulness. I use my gratitude journal every morning, and then I shift my thoughts. I used to hate paying the bills. That's another job that I take on as the mom here. I do the bills. So when I would be paying the bills, I remember getting so angry all the time, oh, why do we have to pay this much for, the cable and this? And now I have viewed things differently. I don't like the bills, but I am viewing it differently now, saying, I get to jump on a Zoom call because I have Wi-Fi. I get to work with my clients, because I'm paying these different bills. So I shift, with that attitude of gratitude, what I'm saying to myself. I get to instead of I have to. I don't love the laundry either, but now I say, we have clothes. Like, I'm thankful for this. There's a really big shift in my life because I put these habits in to be happier and healthier. And don't get me wrong, it is not sunshine and rainbows all the time. Like, sometimes, I am in a terrible mood. It happens. But then I can reframe, and I just find that my kids are happier. I don't
mm,
think they were unhappy before, but I noticed that they're not as stressed in the morning because I have created habits for it. I set my schedule now, and I can say, I'm not working at 3 o'clock, or, somebody has a game on Wednesday night, so I'm not taking clients that night. And I feel like when I now am taking ownership of my life, and I realize that I can't change other people, I can only change myself, that was a huge shift.
I think another huge impact is what you're teaching your kids. You're
Mhm.
setting like a healthy example of how,
Yeah.
like you said, how you manage stress and creating an environment that is more, I guess, just happier and more open,
Yeah,
right?
and
And
aware of what my kids, they roll. I have two teenagers and the elementary school guy. The teenagers, especially my daughter in particular, rolls her eyes a lot. I'm always telling them when I'm taking a new course, because I'm constantly learning so that I can help my clients. If I'm reading something or taking a new, breathing course or whatever it may be, I test it out on them a lot. I'm like, let's try this. Let's try this new thing. And they're rolling their eyes, or they hear me talking, they're at school right now, but they hear me talking on interviews or with clients, and we're talking about techniques. Even if I'm in my office, I know they're paying attention,
Mhm.
and they're trying some of these things. My daughter, for example, runs track, and she's an itty bitty little thing. She's small but fierce, I say. We don't have height, but she was a hurdler this year. And everyone said, how is that little like girl? She's little. We're all short. Well, me and her are short. My husband's tall. But I said to her, it's your mindset, it's your strategy, and don't give up. Really, what I'm doing with my clients, what I'm doing for myself, my
I
kids
love
are
that.
doing it, and she went out there and she killed it. And every day I'm like, Kylie, just say in your brain, I can do this. And if you make a mistake, who cares?
Yeah.
You know?
That's amazing. That
Yeah.
is awesome. I feel like that's a huge win right there. I could teach, my daughter just mindset, don't give
Mhm.
up,
Yeah.
strategy. Right. I love that.
Yeah. I
And I
mean,
think that has,
it really can be in any area. My little guy has dyslexia. Same thing. I started this shift in 2020, and I was really doing it with students, and I didn't realize it when I was a teacher, all the mindfulness stuff. And now I just have certifications for it. But he's severely dyslexic. And from when he was during the pandemic, and he's shifted all the way through, this boy has jumped 12 reading levels. And he will tell you, I believe that I can. Here's my strategy. My teachers do this, reading
oh,
program. My mom is telling me, and I keep saying to him, you are not going to quit. You are going to keep doing this, And because he believes he can, just like my daughter doing the hurdles, even though she's little, she doesn't have those long legs. He believes that he can jump another reading level. So guess what? He is. And the
yeah.
same thing is happening for the women I work with. I'm saying, you can, if you want to run, you want to lose some weight, you want to stop saying, I don't deserve love or happiness. You can shift, but, we need to get you to believe that you can. Those are the three things, believe you can, have that shift, a strategy to get there, and then someone or something to keep you accountable so you don't quit.
Yeah. This is amazing. It's beautiful. It makes me so happy for you and your kids for
Oh,
achieving that. And
thank you.
like, can you imagine learning that and when you're 10
I
versus like
know.
in your adulthood, like how much more you could accomplish, how much less you would stress and fret about the whatever, like people's opinions or
I know.
all those things.
Honestly, because you and some other people have said that to me, like clients I'm working with and just people when I get to chat on podcasts, I am going to start reaching out to schools and saying, I want to come and talk to your students. I want to talk to the girls. I want to talk to the whole population. I want to talk to anyone who will listen about mindfulness because you're right. If a 10-year-old heard that, it could possibly change the path of their life.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting there and, meetings for my kids. And I heard the principal say at one point, the kids come to middle school thinking that they can't do this. I just want to be like at like an assembly and say, yes, you can, you just can't do it yet.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many like steps and strategies. And I'm hoping that I can get out to anybody who wants to listen to
And
me.
you can.
Yes,
Kate,
you're
you
right. I can.
can.
I
You
can.
will.
You are right. You are right. I will because I feel a pull towards that and I am excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can. And I'm excited to watch it happen too.
Thank you.
Uh, so Kate, if you could give moms like one tip on how to step more into a mindful path in life,
Mhm.
an easy way for them to do that, what would it be?
Oh, that's a great question. An easy way. You know what? I would
I don't know
share
if
with,
it's necessarily easy, but
yeah,
something like
like a
one step.
little a strategy.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to share a strategy with you that I call RAIN. And it's called making it rain. It's called RAIN, but I call it making it rain because we remember that. And it's not making it rain with money here. It's you being mindful. And RAIN is an acronym for recognizing, allowing, investigating, and nurturing. Recognizing is when you're feeling stressed, just note it, recognize, okay, I'm feeling this right now. I'm angry. I'm feeling judgmental about myself, other people. I'm pissed off, like whatever it is, recognize it. And then allow it. And this is real quick, maybe like 30 seconds, 90 seconds at most, allowing yourself to feel it for a second and without judgment. Stop judging yourself so much, moms. Be kind, say, all right, I'm allowed to feel guilty or angry, it's an emotion. You should feel those emotions. And then when you move to that after you realize what it is, allow yourself to feel it in the it's an investigation. And I really want you to step outside of yourself, like your best friend looking in, why do you think you're feeling this way? Maybe you're overwhelmed. Your day has been busy. This happened, that happened, the sink overflowed and now we have a project, it's all kinds of things, but investigate with kindness again, just like a friend looking in and saying, why do you think you feel that way? And then the last one is the, really best part, just nurture it a little bit. And you can do that by maybe putting your hand over your heart or two hands over your heart, saying it out loud or to yourself, saying like, I'm sorry you're feeling this way, or I love you. This too shall pass, whatever it is that you can do in that moment. So make it rain, moms. That's what I would give to them. And, I hope you start using it every day and give it to all the moms you love. Give it all to everyone you love, really.
I love this tip. This is amazing. So, Kate, where can our audience find you and connect with you?
Sure. So there's a couple places you could find me. I have a website. It's www.shop.danu now, and Danu is spelled DANU now.com. I have a free discovery call. If you wanted to chat, we could chat right there on my website. You can find it. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, popping some positivity there. So you can, follow me there. Make sure you tell me where you found me from, because if, I know you were in Mamaverse, world, I know that we probably would have an automatic connection because I love following your tribe. So make sure if you do follow me in any of these places, you say, hey, I heard you through Mamaverse or wherever. But the Instagram handle is health_coach_Danu. So they can find me there too. And make sure you say hello.
Awesome. So we will have all of the links in the show notes so that you can get in contact with Kate, but I encourage you to follow her, reach out to her, DM her, say hi. She is a ball of positivity and a lot of helpful tips. So I'm sure she would love to hear from you. Kate, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Mamaverse. And thank you to all the listeners who tuned in, and we will catch you on the next episode.